What's up, meta nerds? This video is all about the AT-XT, the All-Terrain Experimental Transport. As its name suggests, this was an experimental walker that was the predecessor to the AT-RT, and thus the AT-ST. Like most of the walkers used by the Grand Army of the Republic, this was manufactured by Rothana Heavy Engineering, a subsidiary of the larger Kuat drive yards. The cost to produce these was actually very surprising, at only 14,700 credits, which is almost 1/3 of the price of an AT-RT, which cost 40,000 credits. So the AT-XT's cost is very surprising, because it was their first shot at a walker like this, and this vehicle definitely wasn't lacking in any area. Its height was estimated to be somewhere around 6.5 meters, or about 21 feet tall. It was about 2 times the height of an AT-RT, and about 1 Wookiee shorter than an AT-ST. The AT-XT had a maximum speed of 75 km per hour, or 47 miles per hour, making it about 15 km per hour faster than an AT-TE, and only 15 km per hour slower than the AT-RT and the AT-ST. But remember, those vehicles were much more expensive. Now the AT-XT definitely had a respectable armament as well, with a double laser cannon attached to the front of the cockpit, and twin proton mortar launchers with a total of 18 proton grenades on board. And it only required 1 pilot to operate this vehicle, so we really see how it falls in between the AT-RT and the AT-ST, having more weapons than the recon transport, but being slightly larger and slower, and then having a little bit less weaponry than the AT-ST, which had a light blaster cannon on the side, twin blaster cannons up front, and a variable munitions launcher, which could fire either a concussion missile or concussion grenades, but it was larger and required a crew of 2. But what's really unique about the AT-XT is that some of them were outfitted with plasma deflector shields. This kind of technology was usually only worked into ships, with all of the other walkers relying on reactive armor, a special alloy that would distribute the energy of enemy laser cannons across the surface of these walkers. But the AT-XT had this plasma shield, which would absorb incoming attacks before they actually struck the surface of this walker. Like I said, this wasn't worked into every single model of the AT-XT, and we have to assume that these models must have cost more, and had some sort of alterations to their design, in order to make room for the deflector shield generator. Now as for its history, it was never intended to be the main walker of the Grand Army of the Republic, but it did play a role in stopping the Dark Reaper project, and were seen in battles on Renvar, Thule, and some were led by General Kenobi during the Battle of Jabeam. And although it didn't see much combat during the Clone Wars, lessons learned from this vehicle would help to improve the design of all the walkers that came after it. And very interestingly, the Galactic Empire actually used AT-XTs on the front lines, because on certain battlefields, its twin proton mortar launchers, plasma deflector shield, and smaller profile made it superior to the AT-ST in certain scenarios. This point was understood by the rebels as well, and there were a few occasions where members of the Alliance to Restore the Republic captured some AT-XTs and were able to siege Imperial bases, taking out the AT-STs that were located there. Well, that's it for the AT-XT, and the only cool behind the scenes fact that we have is that it made its first appearance in the Star Wars The Clone Wars video game, and was intended to be in the original Star Wars Battlefront game, but this content was cut from the final version. So that's it for the All-Terrain Experimental Transport. If you liked it, go ahead and hit that like button, and if you want to check out our social media, or ways that you can help support this channel, be sure to check out the description down below. If you want to see more, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and hit the bell icon so that you get notifications. But more important than all that, remember, the prototypes are always some of the coolest, and the Force will be with you, always.